property. Everything I make goes directly to our work, and yet I feel like the richest person on the planet. Welcome back. Welcome back to Super Throwback to the Classics, the cinematic movie podcast that takes you back to the iconic films of 20 plus years ago. I am your guy, David Neff, and with me as always, my beautiful screen queen,
Hi, guys.
Selina Sous. How are you?
Doing well. I'm feeling festive.
I know
Um,
you put sauce there. I did it to annoy you.
yeah, I know. I
Selena,
ignored it.
how are
I got
you?
to give a quick shout out to Duval. He helped me pick my outfit for today.
Yeah, the wall brown. It's been
Oh,
it's this is literally that's wonderful. Super.
so thanks,
Um,
D.
this is the week of Christmas here in 2020. Were you able to go outside and catch the Christmas star?
No, I didn't even hear about that till like 20 minutes before I logged in with you.
No. Yeah, today, in case anybody doesn't know, is the absolute closest day possible in the last 400 years since Jupiter and Saturn have basically lined up. So, what that basically means is that every winter solstice, Jupiter and Saturn are relatively close to each other. All right. It's also supposed to be the longest night of the year. And today, if you're fortunate enough to look up into the sky, something that hasn't happened in our lifetime, actually, in this country's lifetime, you would have seen Jupiter and Saturn almost directly parallel with each other. They were exactly, it was something ridiculous like 22,000 miles apart or something like that, which is
Wow.
insane to think about. And I could be absolutely wrong on that. In fact, I'm actually going to Google this. How close were Jupiter and Saturn?
And that's the
Um,
closest that they've been.
yeah, it's nearly twice the size in conjunction. Okay. I'm wrong. I'm super wrong. I was looking at kilometers. Super wrong. They were actually 456 million miles away. But to put that into perspective, that is roughly 5 times the distance of the Earth to the Sun, as it
Wow.
is about 5 astronomical units, which is 93 million miles. But enough about my super weird astronomy obsession.
Yeah, what are
Let's
we here to
talk.
talk about anyway?
Let's talk about something more wonderful and important. You,
Oh, okay.
Selena was nice enough to give me this beautiful Star Wars Monopoly set to further disrupt my family and everything that's bound to happen because of that. Um, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for the wonderful Christmas gift.
Of
I'm really blessed to
course.
have you around. Any plans for you for Christmas?
Just hanging out with the family, plan on staying in my pajamas all day, drink all day, eat all day. Yeah, just hanging out with family. Getting you that Monopoly set was literally the least I could do after that phenomenal shot glass set you sent me for Christmas. Shots and horror are like two of my favorite things. You somehow got or managed to combine them. So thank you. You are near and dear to my heart. You have been for years since our Cosmo days together. So it was the least I could do.
Yeah.
I'm all about love and joy, but I love a little drama here and there. So I want to hear about all the fights you and your family have.
Oh, don't worry. There are plenty. There are. One day we'll sit over a bottle of vodka or rum, or I'll even do tequila. Although I don't trust tequila anymore. And
Or all three. I'll bring my shot glasses over.
And I'll tell you all about that drama because there's been today we are talking about something that both Selena and I find very, very dear to our hearts, which is compassion. And especially when it comes to the gentleman facing in our background behind us. I almost 6 years now. Because Mr. Williams passed away in 2014, as everybody knows. And it was still very heartbreaking, just still kind of think about everything. But one of the things that Robin Williams always did was bring so much love and compassion to the field. People would talk about how this was a man that was literally a king of comedy, and yet he would be more interested into talking about you or listen to what you have to do. And that's one of the reasons why we're covering the movie that we did. This is one of Selena's favorite movies. I completely forgot about this movie, to be fair. And I'm very, very happy to talk about it. We're taking this back all the way back to Christmas Day of 1998 with the absolutely wonderful release of Patch Adams, which is release date December 25th of 2008. Opened up against not a
Wait,
lot.
when? You said
December
2008.
25th, 1998.
You said 2008.
Did it's 1998. It's been that kind of year, really. Um,
Yeah. I
but
didn't realize an hour and 40 minutes was 100 minutes, so I'll give you a pass.
you know what? He didn't. You know what? Chris Evans doesn't really need to know that. I mean, my goal now is to make sure that you.
Oh, I love you so much.
Um, opened up with Stepmom and also Faculty and Mighty Joe Young. Holy crap! There were kind of some hits there.
All great
Stepmom,
movies.
Stepmom. Holy crap! You want a tearjerker? Jesus.
Jeez. And another one of my favorites. I love Julia. Love her.
My dad, who you just met, um,
Mm-hmm.
practically went to school with her. Yeah.
What?
She lived in either Smyrna or Decatur, Georgia, and he was in either Conyers or Marietta, and all those schools kind of linked up together. And I think he's a year or two older than her, but yeah, no, totally,
Why
totally,
were they not friends? I
yeah.
could have possibly met her. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know she could have been like my mom. Um, but whatever. I guess I'm not doing that anymore. But tell me, why is Patch Adams one of your favorite movies?
I mean, first and foremost, Robin Williams. He is my absolute favorite actor. Um, I loved this movie when it first came out because it kind of showed another side of being a doctor and practicing medicine. Um, I feel like that's kind of where I learned compassion from. I mean, my parents who obviously like actually like seeing it in action and everything and rewatching it as an adult, it coincides with my morals and my personal ethics and everything too. Just be kind, make somebody laugh, like talk to somebody. You don't have to be rude to a telemarketer that calls you. Politely decline the call. um but even just like walking down the street or helping a stranger out or something, just smiling, saying hi, making somebody's day, that could be the highest point in somebody's day or maybe even like their life so far, and you don't even know that you talked them off the ledge. So it's showing another side of helping people in such a professional environment. That's really what did it for me.
Definitely. No, I feel that. You and I both worked service industry, so we know what it's like when you just find that moment to make one person's day just a
Mhm.
little bit better. I mean, they could be having the crappiest day ever, and then next thing you know, they get a room upgrade, or maybe you put a little extra whipped cream they didn't mean to in their latte, or whatever your moves are to get to do that, you'd be surprised how much this world really needs compassion. And actually, that kind of coincides also with the subject matter of this film, which actually is a pseudo biography. I have to be fair, a pseudo biography of Hunter Patch Adams, who's the doctor that's spoken of here. Hunter Patch Adams has been a doctor since the 1960s, and he essentially runs a free clinic out in West Virginia called the Gesundheit Institute. It is a 6-room facility that essentially, if you wanted to get medical care, they would do everything possible to get you the medical treatment that they could possibly give you. He does speeches all around the world, and he talks about the only reason why he got famous was to see if he could get funding more for the Gesundheit Institute. So that's one of the ways that he does so. At the end of this video, I will make sure that we mentioned where you can actually go ahead and donate to the Gesundheit Institute. They're a wonderful organization that's been around for a long, long, long time. And while Patch doesn't exactly enjoy this film the way he does say a lot of kind words about Robin, and it's one of the reasons why I also really love this film. Let's get into this movie, and let's kick this off. Actually, real quick, Rotten Tomatoes score on this film, I thought was way off. Like Rotten Tomatoes critics, 22%, audiences, 75%. Who do you agree more with, Selena?
I mean, scores are stupid low. But I'm gonna go more with the audience just because it's a higher score.
Right. I mean, it's a warm fuzzy kind of movie. Can't really blame him for that.
Yeah. It
So
is. It's one of those that kind of has everything tied into one, like all your emotions. Like you have the comedic side of it, you have the serious side of it, you have the extremely sad and depressing side, you have the side that makes you so angry you just want to throw something, but then you have like the warm fuzzies in your heart and like the butterflies in your stomach too. It's like it's everything wrapped into one. Like what more could you ask for?
no, it's very true. Um, this movie kicks off in actually kind of the weirdest way as Robin Williams, playing sort of the narrator of the film, speaks on how he found his way to better help people by committing himself into a mental hospital. Now, this is where one of the discrepancies kind of comes in. And I know it's weird to kind of start off a movie this way. Robin is clearly in his 40s in this film.
Mhm.
Hatch was about 18 years old when he committed himself into an actual psychiatric hospital, as he had tried to kill himself 3 times that year. He admits it himself. Um, so in this case, while they didn't really go too deep into that story with Robin, clearly the discrepancy that Robin is this much older man that graduates medical care. No, he went along. He went along about the age frame that you expect him to be. That doesn't really matter so much. They make a couple of jokes about that,
Mhm.
but it is what it is. As he enters to this facility, you can immediately feel the coldness of the facility. And hey, let's face it, a psychiatric hospital, if you've never actually gone into a psychiatric hospital, it is not a warm, fuzzy place. This is a place that people are here that are seeking serious help. And you know that if you're not properly trained in how to deal with the serious help, you could put yourself at harm, you could put them at harm, and it could turn into a really, really bad situation simply because you don't understand what that person is actually going through. For some people, they find certain vices are the ones that help them out, such as alcoholism. For others, they become accumulated to or excuse me, not accumulated, acclimated to pain pills, anything along those lines. So when this movie really depicts it early on, you really feel the coldness because even as Hunter Adams is discussing his problem that he's having, he has no passion for life. He has no drive. He doesn't feel anything for it. He
Mhm.
just kind of wishes he just kind of wishes it was over already. The doctor isn't even looking at him in the eye. And as a person of compassion myself, sometimes that's really all that needs to happen. You need to be able to be an active listener, especially when people go out of your way. And to give you an idea of how that relates to the actual Patch Adams, Hunter Adams has said they've asked him the question, "What happens when you come up to a person that has schizophrenia?" Right? Again, a very serious mental condition. Patch Adams literally said, "I've literally held somebody in my arms for 10 hours, telling them that everything was going to be okay until they started to feel better." Now that may seem like an extreme form of compassion for some people, but I think in this world that may be something that should honestly be considered. And this movie really, really, really hits that very hard in this. How important the compassion is. Um, as he gets taken into his first room again, Patch, or Hunter in this case, is met with one of my favorite actors of the 1990s, Michael Jeter, who plays Devereaux from The Green Mile, and God, and and one of my and one of the most heartbreaking tales out there, and or excuse me, Dubois. I said Devereaux, it's Dubois, and you know, Jeter plays it amazing. He plays like an actual crazy person. Ironically, this actually isn't the first time Jeter's played a crazy person with Robin Williams. One of my favorite films. I don't know if you've seen it, Selena. Have you ever seen The Fisher King?
Fisher King.
Hmm.
That one sounds so familiar.
It's literally about a shock jock who who kind of makes fun of somebody, and then that person goes on a shooting rampage. And so he finds himself downtrodden and broken, and finds this homeless guy played by Robin Williams, who is seeking help. And so he kind of changes himself to kind of help out this bum a little bit because he feels like he was
Oh,
responsible for that.
I I feel like I know which movie you're talking about. I don't think I obviously I haven't seen it, but I feel like I know which one you're talking.
It's a good one. Um,
Way to call me out.
no, no, by all
I'm
means, I
kidding. I'm
believe
kidding.
me, I don't know all. I don't watch any I don't watch a lot of movies in general most times. You know,
Yeah, no.
like,
That's fair. I had to mess with you a little bit.
no, no, that's fine. Um, Jeter obviously at first is playing really nice, and then all of a sudden he has a breakdown, and Robin comes out and he's all like, "We need some help in here. We need some help in here." And the guys come in and give him probably Ativan, to calm him down. And then as they are in this group area, he tries to find. He also meets real quick. He also meets Mendelssohn, who is supposed to be a brilliant mathematician who can't get past a certain problem that's directly in front of him because he thinks everybody's an idiot. Well,
Mhm.
Um, even Patch goes into this kind of setting, and he finally decides to use the one thing he thinks that will calm everything down, and he starts making fun of literally everything. It can
Mhm.
feel a little bit mean spirited because, in a way, it feels like it's targeted to the one person. But in another way, you have to look at it from Patch's setting. He's trying to get the room to just calm itself down,
Mhm.
to just take themselves out of the equation, to not so much look into your own problems, and instead look into the problem that's facing in front of you. The doctors there didn't really care for it.
Yeah. It was more of like an icebreaker, a way to kinda calm everybody down, especially the guy that felt so crammed in there.
Right.
And it worked. It helped.
Yeah.
And I feel like the doctor was more pissed off that Patch helped and he didn't.
Right. Patch eventually goes back to Mendelssohn and tries to see it from his point of view. And at first, Mendelssohn was dismissive, right? Um, Mendelssohn, who, by the way, is played by, of course, I don't have this ready, Harold Gold, Arthur Mendelssohn, who's a wealthy mathematician in the mental hospital. So Patch tries to do the only thing he can. He's trying to understand him, and by understanding him, he's showing the willingness to try to understand him. And in doing so, he takes a piece of tape that's on the side of a desk and patches up his coffee cup. Mendelssohn decides to show the same problem, but now explain the problem. Look past the problem that's in front of you, which is he's holding up four fingers at this point,
Mhm.
and how many fingers do you see holding up? And of course, after double vision, it shows eight. And that's all what Mendelssohn's trying to see. Stop forcing yourself to be in front of the problem and sometimes look past the problem to find a different solution.
Because the more you focus on the problem, if you're just staring at the problem, you'll never find a solution for it.
Exactly. So, inspired by this, Patch checks himself out after the doctor said, "You probably shouldn't." And he says, "I don't give a rat's ass." And checked himself out. And 2 years later, he is enrolled at the Virginia Medical School, the Medical College of Virginia, which is now known as VCU School of Medicine. I By the way, that's me rooting for VCU in terms of like basketball because I was like really really big in them. You know who went to VCU? You know her,
Oh.
Sarah. She just got married. Ishizuka. Sarah.
Sarah went there? I
Yeah,
knew she was from Virginia. I didn't know she went there though.
went to VCU. She sure did.
All right. Yeah.
Um, So he decides to enroll and is the oldest first year student. And he immediately questions kind of the solace approach. And it is played very, very, very straight, just in the way that I'm talking, actually, by by Dean Walcott, who's played by excuse me, oh my lord, why can't I think of his name? Bob Gutton.
I was gonna say, I got you. I got you. I had it right here.
um, Bob Gunn, who plays it as straight as possible. Basically,
Mhm.
there's a prestige to become a doctor. There is this blah 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 of becoming a doctor. We're
You
gonna
should
make
be
$5.
honored that I'm one of your professors.
Right. You should be honored. You and during this time, you have to keep in mind of where medicine was during this time. Um, this is where this is true. Medicine has changed so much over the last 100 years. I don't think people realize. In the case of here's an example. Back in the day, I'm not kidding. From in like the 1880s, there used to be this real fear of babies getting like the common cold and other germs and
Mhm.
infections and whatnot. Right. Well, nurses decided to not hold babies for up to 2 years. So there was a study done uh, dictating the health of babies that grew up as orphans and how
Mhm.
bad their health was because they weren't getting that love and nurtureship. All right. Because they were so afraid of germs and infections, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, that's definitely changed. So, in this case, in the 1960s, they believed in a policy of transference, all right, which basically means that a doctor should never get close to a patient. That, in short, a doctor should look at a patient no more than a number, right? This is diabetes 2 with the foot that's getting ready to be amputated, and you're
Mhm.
speaking about this in front of the patient, right? So think about that for a second. Imagine Jay, if it was in the case of here. Here we have, I'm not going to say his age. Here we have a black male that needs quintuple bypass surgery. Simple as that. No
Mhm.
compassion, and somebody's just like yelling at this out loud. That's who you are. They don't even know your name.
Exactly. You're not a person to them. You're another number, just another bed.
You're the symptom. You are room
Mhm.
305. You know,
Yeah.
that's what you are. So Patch decides to kind of take this a little bit personal and, really kind of starts questioning anything. And lo and behold, Patch is a brilliant medical student. All right. You immediately get the introduction to Philip Seymour Hoffman, who plays Mitch Roman, who is as uptight as it comes, man. Man, he looks like he could be related to Mike Pence, man. Like he's man, he's the kind of guy that you would imagine that would pray the gay away, just like
Oh my goodness. A quick side note. How ironic and eerie is it that Robin Williams and Philip Hoffman played roommates and they both passed away in the same year?
within 6 months of each other, actually.
Exactly. Like when I was rewatching Patch Adams, I was like, "Oh crap, like I forgot Philip Seymour Hoffman's in this." And I was like, "Wait a second. They passed away pretty like within quite a few months of each other." And when I looked it up, it was both 2014 and I just got chills.
It is. It's a little
I did
distressing
again.
when you watch this film now and you see so many great people in general are just no longer there. It's depressing almost. But no, I mean, you had singing about him now makes me sad. Um, Patch tries to do everything possible to kind of get this idea. And you know what? This is actually one of my favorite scenes. It's easily to cut that out because there's no real point to the scene outside of explaining the experiment and what else they want to do. But Patch immediately like hits on Monica Porter, who plays Corinne Fisher, who's a serious medical student, right? Um, and after he strikes out on that, he meets Truman Shift, who becomes Patch's best friend and most loyal follower in medical school. And they decide to hold a very early experiment where what they wanted to do was change the response to how people like greet you. If you come up to somebody cold and you say hi, you're probably going to get a cold response. If you come up with a warm response, you may get different response times and
Mhm.
different responses, right? So first thing that Patch does is that he's literally hanging from, I assume, a street light. It's not very clear. Maybe a tree branch, but he's upside,
I think it was a light pole.
but he's upside down, and he literally scares the shit out of this poor woman, and says
She's
hi,
like, "What are you doing?"
right, and he flips down, and he goes, "Well, wait a minute, I touched her. I know I did," you know. And about
And
10 seconds
he's
later,
timing it. He's right there waiting. Wait for it, wait for it.
turns around and she kind of goes, "Is like, oh
Oh,
you,
you.
oh you."
But it made her day.
So, right. So he then decides to kind of test this experiment everywhere else, says hi to somebody, almost an immediate response. And then later on, somehow gets invited to like this meat packaging convention.
I love this scene so much because it's so ridiculous, but so on brand for Robin Williams. Like, oh, are you here for the meatpacking convention? Oh, yeah. Does the chicken have lips? Well, you'll find out in there.
So he's at like this meat packaging convention, and he's convincing people that he's actually. I mean, he's clearly lying, but he's making people laugh. You know, he's like, I love this guy. I love him so much. You know, he becomes one of the speakers. He
does. He does. Some people say chicken. No. Some people say fish. No. Now is the time for cow.
And he's getting the biggest cheers in the crowd, and everybody loves it. And I'm just like, what are you doing, you jackass? You're gonna get yourself thrown out. Nobody's believing this.
Everybody was eating it up.
Oh man. So after seeing himself in a doctor's lab coat, Williams decides to kind of get this bright idea to go ahead and start trying to see patients. Now, this is a big no-no, and actually,
he crashed on the rounds.
This is a big no-no even to this day, because the
he's
idea
like
is
hiding the meat packers patch, like walking around like
I know,
this.
you're right. Because he goes into the hospital, and it's a big no-no, because for those who are actually studying medicine who may just so happen to be listening to the show, you can't treat patients until your third year. You're not allowed to even see a patient. You're supposed to memorize what is in the encyclopedia, right?
Mm.
So he kind of goes around and he's kind of goofing off a little. You know, he's trying to connect with people, he's trying to understand, and mind you, while being incredibly smart, the nurses kind of catch on. They're like, "Hey, like, what are you doing?"
Who are you? Oh, look, another future boss.
Right. And actually, she may actually be my That Chick Award, because man, was she supportive. Like, woo! Frances Lee McCain plays Judy, and she is amazing. Everything about her in this is just like, she is the sassy black woman. Yeah, but she's a sassy black woman that knows a lot about nurses. Now, for those of you who don't know, from my past, I used to be an EMT, and I'm going to tell you something.
Really?
You didn't know this, huh?
You never told me. You're holding out on me.
There's a lot you don't know about me. Yeah, no, I used to drive an ambulance, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you ever want to know exactly what is wrong with you, that doesn't require significant amount of test, 99% of the time, ask the nurse, because I guarantee you, the nurse knows more than the doctor. Okay.
The nurses are the backbone.
Oh man, they're the backbone. They're everything. If you have a
and
good,
they're the neck.
They are everything. They're the upper torso, right? That's pretty much really what it is, right? And even the legs. It just so happens that the chauvinistic male doctor is the one who gets credit. So of course, Patch continues on with this behavior for a while, right? Eventually, Dean Walcott kind of catches on, and he's like, "Hey, man, like, stop doing that," right? Which, to be fair, kind of makes sense. You probably don't want to screw things up. You know, there's liability concerns, whatever, right?
Right.
But as punishment, because Patch is doing so well in school, he's supposed to clean up the auditorium for this group of gynecologists. And I got to say, this is literally one of my favorite scenes. All right, because as these group of doctor gynecologists come out, they come around and two huge ceramic legs, and when I say huge, I mean these things are clearly the eight. You know the skeleton at Home Depot? It was still probably it had a few feet on that, you know, and it's two of them spread wide apart, about to enter the cervix of the hospital. Clearly,
And that's what the sign says, welcome gynecologist at your cervix.
right. Um, he is expelled from medical school, but then he is later reinstated when it becomes apparent to the school that unconventional methods often improve the patient's health. In fact, one of my personal favorite scenes, and probably my iconic scene in this movie, was as he tries to hide away from Dean Walcott. After kind of being goofy, he immediately falls into a ward, and in this ward is a whole bunch of children. All right,
Mhm.
with I'm assuming different conditions. I'm assuming different things,
Well,
and
the children was when he crashed the rounds, and the nurses were like, "What are you doing?"
right,
It was right after the meat packing, yeah.
it was
But
after.
I love that scene. It brought so many tears to my eyes.
The reason why this scene is so wonderful is because it's hard not to love the scene, because the first thing that he does is almost immediately it's like Robin improvised his entire scene,
Mhm.
because
Oh, that had to all have been improv. There's
if
no way
there
it
is
wasn't.
if there's some form of written script there, or if he got direction from actual Patches, who is known as a clown also, then
Mhm.
kudos to that team, because this scene is truly terrific. He goes and he's making the kids laugh, you know. He grabs the now famous nose that both Selena and I both have here, where he goes and he's showing so much compassion, just trying to make these kids excited and laugh. Because look, I think I can understand people that have an issue with like medical history and doctors, but I think we all can agree that kids getting sick is a really, really, really shitty thing, and we probably should do more to avoid that. You know,
Yeah.
um, so this whole scene, I mean, he's imitating everything, from being a clown to putting bedpans on his head that were clean, obviously, bedpans on his feet, to acting like a caterpillar and trying to run himself out the window, which I died just thinking of this image. And when a nurse finally comes in and is like, "What are you doing?" And he makes his grand exit. He he does quickly take a look back, just like in the one in the background that I have here, to reflect how much he really enjoyed it. And he realized that he really connected and touched people there. And he realized this is exactly what he really wants to do. It was that aha moment, right? This is where kind of the movie kind of loses me a little bit, though. All right. Patch begins a friendship with fellow student Karen Fisher, right? And as the years kind of go on, they are kind of getting close to each other. Corinne is a little cold, but she's not dumb enough to realize that there's something special with Patch, right? And Patch is pushing hard. He's trying to read a poem from Walt Whitman to her. Um, he was like, I need you to do me a favor, and if you don't laugh here, then whatever. And he puts the red nose on her, and then shows how goofy she looks with the red nose, and she helplessly starts falling for him. Clearly, um, one of the more fun scenes in the film is later on as they're kind of connecting more and more. He decides to go and surprise her for her birthday by blowing up a whole bunch of balloons. Now, this is a true story, actually,
And it
because
was so sweet.
because the true story behind this is that Hatch literally did that for his first wife as they met in college, and blew up a whole bunch of balloons in her dormitory and had about 20 people in there. And every single time somebody moved, you felt it. You felt so the whole idea was a sensation feeling that you never really know where anything is, and it really is sweet. It's a very, very pretty and really sweet thing. Seymour Hoffman, of course, did not care for it.
Whatever, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. So during their third year, though, they come up with this philosophy of treating patients using humor and compassion. And while they do have some medical supplies, right, um, they wanted to utilize this. And with the help of Arthur Mendelsohn, they were able to purchase 105 acres, and really that's same hospital I'm talking about. I said 6 rooms; it's much bigger than that, obviously. In West Virginia, to construct the future Gesundheit Institute, and together with Corinne and Truman, they renovate this old cottage into a clinic. And when they get the clinic running, they begin to treat patients without medical insurance, and they perform even comedy sketches for them. Um, and it's not like the patients don't do anything else. All right, the patients sometimes they may stay the night there. Those who are feeling well have to be an active participant and also helping others.
Exactly. Like you have to give back in some way or another, whether it's cooking for somebody or like helping somebody from the bed to the bathroom, or
Right,
you need to give back some way.
right. So it's kind of like this super like wanderlusty thing that I'm like totally digging, bro. But I mean, it is really sweet. Patch's friendship with Corinne soon turns into romance, and Corinne was always kind of hesitant about pursuing this romance, mainly because she decides to tell him in a scene that, I'm just going to be honest, while it is a sincere scene, probably doesn't fit the tone of this movie, as she begins to explain that she just doesn't trust men because men have always been attracted to her all of her life. All of her life. That's where I'm going to leave it at there. Um,
That was hard to watch and listen to.
right. Of course, Patch comforts her and reassures her that she can overcome her pain by helping others. And she becomes encouraged by this and wants to
Mhm.
help a disturbed patient by the name of Larry, who is played by Douglas Roberts, who, I don't know who this guy is, but man, did they cast this guy right, because he is creepy.
He was, I mean, when he first showed up in the ER with the self-inflicted wounds and he's like staring at Patch as they like wheel him away, I was like, ooh,
Right.
ooh. He just gives you the heebie-jeebies.
And this is probably that scene that I think everybody understands where it's kind of going. Eventually, Corinne decides to be brave and go to Larry's house, and Larry's house is a beautiful friggin' mansion, like with a huge grand piano. Come to find out, this guy probably is worth probably a few $1 million. Um,
Mhm.
and he says, "We don't want to be late," and closes a closet door. Come later to find out, Corinne was murdered by Larry, although you don't see it. It is actually said in the film, and it kind of makes Patch lose his luster for everything. He's guilt ridden, and he also begins to contemplate suicide. He begins to question the goodness in humanity. So, standing on a cliff, he contemplates suicide, and he asks God for an explanation. And one of the things that Corinne said beforehand is that she always wished that she could turn into a butterfly to fly away from
Uh,
basically all her problems, right?
She was saying that she always envied killers because no matter what was going on or how ugly life was, they could just tuck them away. And when they were ready, come out of that cocoon, beautiful beings. And in this scene, when he's contemplating suicide and he's mad at God and yelling at God, he tells him, like, I could do it right now, talking about jumping off the cliff. And he says, but you're not worth it. And when he turns around, on his medical bag is this beautiful monarch butterfly.
Yes.
Ah.
And after seeing that, he regains his dedication back to his work in her memory. And a couple of things here. I didn't really get into some of the patients that I've kind of glossed over a little bit. But one of the people, there were a few people that I kind of bonded with. He bonded with a patient who wanted to go on one last big hunt, and in the process, that favor that Corinne owed to him, they all get like balloon animals together and start throwing it at him as he's shooting what I assume is BB pellets at these
Yeah.
balloons. I'm really glad they trusted his aim there because
Yeah, seriously, in the dark, as old as he was.
I'm like, wow, y'all really, really are trusting here.
Oh man.
Look, there's a little movie I know that's called "You'd Shoot Your Eye Out," and this is a perfect example of how that would happen.
I'm gonna shoot your eye out, kid.
So, he also meets Bill Davis, who is kind of like this asshole patient, right? Who's dying. And the first thing that Patch does is sing him a song, "Blue Skies, Blue Skies, Blue Skies," right? But eventually he shows up to break him down. He shows up in like a full angel costume, of course, and decides to read from the dictionary. Excuse me, the thesaurus,
Mm-hmm.
death, and it was just kind of a way for him to just break it out, and he found a way to basically break him down, and he liked him. Patch was there on his deathbed. In fact, one of the grossest but funniest lines in this film is literally like, "Hey," he takes Bill and he goes, "Hey, how about we go to the maternity ward?" He goes, "You
You know
know that
those
she's
people
put
put out.
out." The final patient, and the one that we're circle on here, is one of my favorite actresses. I'm so sad that she passed away, but she was older. Um, and she first of all, she's amazing because she raps in films, which is just awesome. Ellen Albertini Dow, who plays Aggie Kennedy, who's a sickly old lady in the hospital, but she always had this dream of being in a swimming pool full of noodles.
Yes,
Leave
it
it,
is so cute, her story. When I
leave
was
it.
a little girl and my grandmother was making pasta, she would let me reach my hand into the pot and squeeze the noodles. I was just so cute. Like, who squeezes noodles?
I mean, this is Disco Dottie from Studio 54, so yeah, like I'm okay with this. So Mrs. Dow gets into like this pool of noodles with Patch, and you kind of see the warmth on the face. Throws a whole bunch of noodles on Patches, and
They
it's
start dancing in it and
yeah,
laying down in the noodles.
it's super cute. All right. But eventually, of course, Walcott discovers that Patch has been running a clinic and practicing medicine without a license and attempts to expel him again. And because of this, as well as complaints that he made his patients uncomfortable, which not true, Patch files a grievance with the help of Philip Seymour Hoffman, let me be fair there, that he must treat the spirit as well as the body. And this is kind of standard Hollywood ending here. It's pretty easy what happens. The board basically agrees because the quality of life of these patients had been so much better than they were without him that that
Right.
it just it mattered greatly. And because of this, he was allowed to graduate. He was allowed to graduate. At his graduation, Patch receives his diploma and bows to his professors in the audience. Of course, showing off his naked ass. And that, my friends, is Patch Adams.
Oh,
I know.
this movie just gives me chills. Um,
It's all the warm fuzzy.
but I was gonna get yeah, and I was gonna get a clown nose to wear, but I failed and totally forgot. So, I don't know how much I would have liked wearing it this long though.
Fair enough. I already look like a clown, so I'm okay. Um, let's get into some let's get into some takeaways to wrap this thing up. I need to cover a couple of things before we do so. As what was said before, the actual hunter, Patch Adams, who is still alive, by the way, he's 75 years old, um, definitely did not care for this movie. Literally said he made in regards to Robert Williams, he said he made $21 million for 4 months of pretending to be me in a very simplistic version, and did not give $10 to my free hospital. Patch Adams, a person, would have, if I had Robin's money, given all $21 million to a free hospital in a country where 80 million cannot get care. That
Mhm.
was what he said initially. However, upon the death of Robin Williams, and he did say later on, okay, he did say later on that he did not dislike Williams, saying, "I think Robin himself is compassionate, generous, and funny. I like to think
Mhm.
that's who I am, and so I think he was the only actor I wanted to play me, and I think he did a fabulous job." Specifically saying that. Of course, Robin had actively supported St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital for several years, so I get what he's trying to say there, but at the same time, it was a little off base. But upon hearing the death of Robin Williams, he released this statement. The terrible news of the passing of Robin Williams reached me here in the Peruvian Amazon late Monday night with tremendous sadness. Surrounded by over 100 friends and clowns on our annual clown trip, we mourn this tragic loss and continue to treasure his comic genius. Robin Williams was a wonderful, kind, and generous man. One important thing I remember about his personality is that he was unassuming. He never acted as if he were powerful or famous. Instead, he was always tender and welcoming, willing to help others with a smile or a joke. Robin was a brilliant comedian, there is no doubt. He was a compassionate, caring human being. While watching him work on the set of the film based on my life, Patch Adams, I saw that whenever there was a stressful moment, Robin would tap into his improvisation style to lighten the mood of cast and crew. Also, I would like to point out Robin would be especially kind toward my children when they would visit the set. Contrary to how many people may view him, he actually seemed to me to be an introvert. When he invited me and my family into his home, he valued peace and quiet, a chance to breathe, a chance to get away from the fame that his talent has brought him. While early in life he turned to drug use and alcohol to escape, he replaced the addiction with moments of solitude to help cope with the stress that fame brought. The world is not kind to people who become famous, and the fame he had garnered was a nightmare. While saddened, we are left with the consequences of his death. I'm enormously grateful for his wonderful performance in my early life, which has allowed the Gesundheit Institute to continue and expand our work. We extend our blessings to his family and friends in this moment of sadness. Thank you for all you've given this world, Robin. Thank you, my friend. So before anybody else thinks that, oh, well, the real Patch Adams just has a problem with the film. He has a problem with the film because it doesn't feel like it accurately presents what Patch was about, which is more
Right.
than just being a clown doctor. He was about compassion, so much compassion, and about proper treatment of people, using methods that may seem a little bit unorthodox. Um, and you can really, really see a lot on that work. If you wish to donate to the Gesundheit Institute, please do so. You can actually go to, I had this up. Why did you go away? Aha. You can go to patchadams.org/donate to go ahead and do so. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to get yourself checked out at. It's a wonderful place to learn more about being compassionate in the world. So please go ahead and do so. That's Gesundheit. All right, that's GESUND. Let me make sure I'm saying that one right. GESUNDHEIT Institute. So make sure you go check that out. Patchadams.org/donate. Other than that, let's get into some takeaways to wrap this thing up. Selina, my beautiful friend, who is getting your That Guy Award?
Well, Patch, Robin Williams. Like there could be anybody else.
Yeah, like clearly, right?
Hello. No, so it wasn't just because of like his inspiration to check himself out of the psych ward and stuff to start helping people and like truly help people and care. It was everything for me. The making the kids laugh just by putting on that clown nose and wearing a bedpan on his head and wearing them as shoes and like pretending to like tap dance and stuff like that. Like having one of his friends pretend to be a corpse with a sheet over him just to sneak out the supplies that they needed for the clinic.
He's like, I need to borrow your feet. Like, what?
And I want you for your body. But it was the ending scene, the courtroom scene where he was fighting his expulsion. The biggest part for me was treat a disease, you win, you lose. You treat a person, I guarantee you'll win no matter what the outcome.
Correct.
And I had to pause it when I was rewatching it earlier today. I watched it yesterday and then I watched it again today because I love that movie so much. And both times I had to pause it and really take it in. Because it's true. Like, even when he was asking, like, what's a patient's name? And like not what their disease is or what's wrong with them. I'm a huge Grey's Anatomy freak. And I immediately went back to Grey's Anatomy when they're doing rounds with the residents. They don't say just what's going on with them. They say their name, their age, presents with, and everything. But they start with what's most important, their name. And I honestly feel like that's something that a lot of people need to kind of get back to is we're all people, we're all human beings. Like just because we're going through it or going through this or going through that, like we're still people with feelings. And that ending scene, you treat a person, I guarantee you'll win no matter the outcome. That hit me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, great points. I still have to like soak that all in. That chick award.
I really want to go with Corinne.
You can. I'm okay with you going with Corinne.
No, I know. I really want to go with her because she was very like, in a class of 168 people, there were only 8 women like in that. She kept emphasizing how hard she had to work as a woman to get to where she's at and to be taken seriously. And she's not just a pretty face. She's got the brains to back everything up, the hard work to prove it all. Like she is killing it. But I guess I want to do a tie. Like it's going to be Corinne and Nurse Joletta, the sassy nurse, like, oh, look, it's another one of our future bosses, and this is going to be the only time that I outrank anybody. But because she had Patch's back no matter what. He was in a room with a patient, she turned the other way. When somebody else was like, what's going on in there for the safari scene? It's fine. It's nothing. Should I go check it out? I said it's nothing. Like, mind your damn business. So, and she had his back even in the courtroom. She wasn't standing in the back of the room with the nurses. She was sitting there right by his side. So It's going to go to both of them.
You're giving it to both. Well, that makes my life a little bit harder, but okay. That full award.
Do I even need to say it?
Larry.
No. I mean, yeah. Freaking jackass. No, Dean Walcott.
Yeah, clearly.
Jealous and pompous.
Cut that out.
That one's really a tough one for me, honestly.
What? Wait, what?
I said that one's a really tough one for me because if you cut a scene out, it kind of doesn't explain why another scene happened, if that makes sense. Like swimming in the pool of noodles, I thought, well, I mean, they could have really done without it, but it needed to be there because that's when Philip Seymour Hoffman's character went to Patch and was like, I need your help with her. And Patch knew what her biggest dream was, you know. I thought like, okay, was that safari scene really necessary? But it explains why he has such a good rapport with all the other patients too. So I can't cut anything out.
Fair enough. Doesn't age well. 22 years later.
I don't think it does, just because of how society has been and like where it's going. I think exactly what society needs, though. I mean, come on, let's be real here and let's call a spade a spade. People are freaking jerks right now. They have been for years, and it's just progressively getting worse. And I kind of blame social media a little bit for that.
Let's keep it going. Our president sucks, you know, like I haven't been on a date in 3 years, legitimate date with a girl I actually liked in 3 years. This depression sucks, man.
I feel like it is what society needs. We need to relearn compassion, because there are even days where even me, I'm like, I'm not going to give this guy an extra shot of espresso just because, like, no, he's a freaking jerk. Like, why does he deserve it? You know, but hey, maybe saying, hey, I gave you an extra shot of espresso on the house could have made his day and made him super happy. Like, to other people, you know? It hasn't aged well only because of what assholes people can be more and more as the years go by. But I think, like I said, we need it. It should be a law. Watch Patch Adams and learn from it.
Maybe it's not that this movie hasn't aged well. It's that we haven't aged with this movie.
Exactly. I like that.
Yeah. Iconic scene.
Oh, where do I even begin? I loved the scene with his roommate in the mental ward with where he has to go to the bathroom and he's like, dude, just go to the bathroom.
God, that's such a great scene. I love it. Michael Jeter really knows how to make a scene better.
So Patch Adams pretends like to have a little gun and he's like shooting up the squirrels and then like machine guns. They're over here now. They're over here now. Ah, there's one on your shirt. And they flip his bed over for cover. can't get him. Well, you can't. Fake bazooka, load it up. He finally gets him to use the restroom. I want to say that's my iconic scene, but it's probably just one of my favorite ones. I think iconic was when the gynecologist came.
Solid.
And they walked to repair legs. Oh, if you think it's hot out there, oh, it's really warm in here. Watch your step. Might be slippery.
All right, my turn. That guy award's gonna go to Robin. This movie is literally carried on the back of the hairy back of Robin Williams.
Fuzzy.
Oh no,
Furry.
no. If I had to give CPR to that guy and I had to put paddles on him, I have to shave his chest. Otherwise, he catches on fire. I'm not kidding. That's a real thing that's happened to me before. May you rest in peace, Mr. Jones. I'm just, I'm just kidding.
Don't do that to me.
Why Robin? Because Robin carries this movie, but also because Robin is amazing in this movie. Like, you can't really like. Okay, I remember watching Nostalgia Critic on this, and normally I can get Doug's point of view because he's trying to say, "Why are you being such a jackass, jackass?" And it's like I get where the line of okay, but I need a doctor to really try to treat with what's wrong with me, right? So I immediately think of House, right? Because that's the kind of doctor I want. I want somebody who's going to really tell me how much of an idiot I did by smoking weed in in toxic soil and cadmium poison soil, right? I want that, but at the same time, I kind of get I strongly disagree with what Nostalgia Critic is trying to say because he's trying to say, well, you're just acting like a jerk the whole time and not really listening to what Patch is trying to teach. It's not that he's not listening to what Patch is trying to teach. It's that the writing isn't allowing that to happen. The writing of the story wants this to be a happy ending in so many formats. And to be honest, in the world of medicine, it's uncommon when there's a happy ending. All right, it's usually a long-term process that happens afterwards. And when there is finally recovery in there, believe me, it's the greatest day in somebody's life. It also can be one of the most terrifying days in somebody's life. So I kind of get what he's saying. But in this case, Robin does exactly what Robin's supposed to do. He doesn't need to come off as some know-it-all. All right. Even though they give him know-it-all lines, he doesn't want to come off that way. He just wants to come off as a guy that people can learn to like because, hey, I understand what it's like being on the other side of being on the other side. I understand what it feels like to be depressed and constantly think about trying to kill yourself. The real person is I tried to kill myself 3 times in the past year. So yeah, I had a problem. I found a way to get over it, and I want to use what I learned to utilize.
And Robin Williams had even said that like the most depressed people are like the funniest people that you know or the happiest because they know what it's like low that they don't want anybody to ever feel that way. So they're constantly trying to lift you up or make you happy or make you laugh. And you hit the nail on the freaking head with that because it like, I'm depressed, like maybe not right now, but like I have gone through major stages of depression and like really, really dark times, like whether it's a weird funk that I get into or it's like bam, depression just fucking hits me like out of nowhere. I don't want other people that like I love or care about to feel that way. So I guess that's another reason why I'm so compassionate. That makes sense.
No, it really does, and I fully understand that. I guess this movie hits a little bit differently when you think of how Robin obviously died. Because
I wish he took his own advice. Sorry not to cut you off, but when he was walking with Corinne and she was asking if it was true, the rumors she heard about him going through the mental ward, and he says, you know, why he committed himself and then why he ended up leaving because he wanted to help people and everything and like not have them end up how at one point he wanted to end up. I was like, I wish he could have just taken his own advice.
I do too, but at the same time, I also understand in probably the weirdest way why he did it. Um, and I know that sounds weird, but
Mm-hmm.
my grandfather had Alzheimer's, and I remember those last few years. I was fortunate enough to be able to say goodbye to him when he lived. I flew out to go see him um, about 6 months before he wound up dying, and to see there's a reason why they call it the long goodbye, you know,
Yeah.
because it's just something that takes forever to go through, and when it hits and it gets worse, significantly worse, it gets significantly worse. My best friend's grandmother, the one who I did the NBA draft with today, had a conversation. She was like a grandmother to me, and she passed away about 2 months ago from this. Didn't recognize who I was. All of that, it's hard. So in the case of Robin, I understand, and to be honest, like I don't, I would hope somebody would make a better quality of life decision for me than I could at that point. And I think that's exactly what Robin was thinking of there. That doesn't mean I don't miss him. I just understand. But on to more happier topics. That chick award.
God.
That chick award. It's gonna go to Miss Meat. Ha! You didn't think I could find another female in this movie, but I totally did.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
Miss Meat, who is played by none other than the awesome Dot Jones. For those of you who don't know who Dot Marie Jones is, she is a 15-time world arm wrestling champion. I know that sounds dumb. I know it sounds dumb, but it isn't. It's totally a sport.
Hey, it shows like super broad and like muscular arms. I was like, whoa.
Oh, yeah, man. No. She is a praying mantis among gods. Like. But Dot Jones, I gotta give it to Miss Meat since you decided to take both of them. I'm gonna give it to Miss Meat. Her presence was absolutely exactly what this movie needed. I need more Miss Meat. Who is she? How often does she get to go out? Why is she known as Miss Meat?
She even like winked
She
at what's
did.
his
Oh,
name. He's like, hi.
I got chills of inspiration and fear all at the same time. That full award, I am going to give it to Larry. Um, it's easy to give it to Dean Walcott. Um, and I'm not going to do it. Larry is that fool for putting, for putting Patch in that place in the first place. And I really, really, really wish he had sought better treatment from somewhere else because clearly he could afford it. I still don't know if he would have been able to get treated properly. But clearly he was a very disturbed man. and he ruined a lot of things.
That one was tough though, because like I really wanted to give him that full award, but at the same time, he did go and try and seek help. He said, I need to talk to somebody because I have these thoughts.
Yeah.
And I don't think he ever really got to finish what he was saying to anybody.
He didn't because somebody cut him off in the hospital. Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
Cut that out. God, and a movie that tries to make you so happy and yet talks about some really dark moments in a person's life. It's like he completely forgot that this movie started out because Patch wanted to kill himself. I have to cut out the Corinne story because man, it was like tonally the film was just not going there. It's not right. It's not, I know it's not right because the story is so important for women to hear. You know what? Let me think about this for a second. Hold on.
I have to disagree with you on that.
And that's fair. And I'm 1,000% okay with being disagreed with.
And I'll stall you for a bit if you want to think about it. I kind of want to change my iconic scene answer.
No,
to
no.
Fine.
Okay. I am going to cut out instead the scene. I'm going to cut out the meat packing scene because I have to cut out something.
Inspiration.
You know what? You know what? I will cut out the argument between Philip Seymour Hoffman and him. You know what? That's what I'll cut out. I'll cut out the cheating on the test thing. Like you know what? Like there's no point to that scene. It never goes anywhere. How about that? It never went anywhere. All right.
No, I'm stopping you right there because there was a point to that scene. Because if it wasn't for that scene, Philip Seymour Hoffman's character would never have seen Patch Adams in a different light.
Then I'm cutting out the graduation because I didn't need to see Robin Williams' ass.
And that's my iconic scene.
Does this movie age well? Yes. But in the sense that we've forgotten the message a long time ago. It's like somewhere after 9/11.
Yeah.
The United States forgot about compassion and forgot about trying to be at least the ideal nation. And instead kind of became this whole corporate government thing, you know? And because of that, we're in a situation with this pandemic where people's lives and jobs, are in jeopardy. And they're trying to do things right, but at the same time, like our government just like does not care about this virus right now currently. Like they are literally waiting for January 20th, and that is downright embarrassing.
They don't care about that, or like if whether or not people are going to get evicted from their homes. Like
I guess the other governments that are just like, no, you totally have paycheck protection. We are going to protect your paychecks totally. And wondering why the fuck it can't happen here, but whatever. So does this movie age well? Absolutely. But I don't think we'd be willing to listen to it anyway. And finally, iconic scene has to go to Robin Williams being Robin Williams in the children's ward. Yes, it is the scene in this movie in my eyes. It's pretty easy. It does a few things that you want. It makes you so happy to see kids laugh. It makes you so happy to see Robin Williams be Robin Williams. It does everything this movie is supposed to do.
That's how this started, was with that scene.
Yes. So that is my iconic scene. Let's get into some quick hits. By the way, it's 11:11. Please make a wish. To wrap this thing up. During filming, Robin Williams and the rest of the cast and crew worked closely with the Make-A-Wish Foundation to fulfill the fantasies of several children who were at the time undergoing cancer treatment. All the children appeared with Williams in scenes at the pediatric ward.
So those were real Make-A-Wish kids?
Yes. That's why it's my iconic scene.
Okay. See, had I known that.
Nope, too late. You already chose like 4 of them.
But it did really warm my heart, though, the courtroom scene when they said they're going to go into a recess, and then boom, the door opens and all these kids come in and put their noses on.
This one is actually one of my favorite things about this movie. One of the film's producers is none other than Mike Farrell, who actually met the real Patch Adams when Adams served as an advisor to what? The TV show MASH, where Mike Farrell played BJ Honeycutt on the show, who is easily one of the most compassionate doctors to ever grace the screen. Also one of the biggest prankers that you've ever seen. Honeycutt is an absolutely fantastic character. I'm in the middle of like season 6 of MASH currently. Filmed partially at the University of North Carolina, Robin Williams did stand-up comedy for some classes that were in session while filming. That's awesome. Hi, I just paid you $45,000 in tuition. Can I please get one Robin Williams?
Hey, worth it. I would give my good kidney to see Robin Williams stand up.
The poem that Patch reads to Corinne is an English translation of Sonnet 17. Let me count that. 10, 5, 1, 17 by Pablo Neruda. While the real Patch Adams made a brief cameo in the film, he hated the film and the portrayal of himself. Not going to cover that. Who cares about that? The famous movie quote, "What's wrong with death, sir?" Which Patch Adams said in this trial can be seen as a direct reference to the book Gesundheit by Hunter Adams, which the movie is partly based on. The chapter Humor and Healing, or Why We're Building a Silly Hospital, contains a part named Fun Death, in which Adams criticizes that the society is uncomfortable with death and that only a few are willing to discuss this matter. It is mentioned in the book that the real Patch Adams even asked his patients what kind of death they want. A personal philosophy note that I love, by the way, when Dean Walcott is walking down the hall, right before he enters the room where Patch is playing with the hospital bed, there's a page that comes over the intercom for Dr. Maslow to dial 214. Of course, that is Dr. Abraham Maslow, noted psychologist who, of course, developed the hierarchy of needs, which explains how personalities react to environmental factors and needs. If you ever want to get into philosophy discussion with me, please do so. I would love to hear. Robin Williams has played a doctor in like 5 movies. Awakenings, 9 Months, Good Will Hunting, What Dreams May Come, and now this movie. And finally, when Patch is bothering his classmates with the anatomical skeleton, he makes a joke about the Donner Party. This is clearly a historical reference to
Party of 50.
Right. To the Donner Party, a group of wagon train pioneers who left for California in 1846. Became stuck in Sierra Nevada mountain range during the winter after an early November snowfall made the trip through impossible until the spring. When the food supplies ran out, some of the group resorted to cannibalism to make it through the winter. Of the original 87 members, only 48 survived and reached California. And that, my friends, is Patch Adams, ending on such a happy note there. I want to thank once again my beautiful and wonderful friend, Selina Sauce. I'm just kidding. Sauce.
It's fine.
Thank you so much for the wonderful Christmas gift. I love doing these with you. This has been a lot of fun for me. Please tell the people where they can find you.
I'm on Twitter at MexEgyptian, MEXIGYPTIAN.
Awesome. And I want to thank again everybody who decided to tune in. A happy holidays and Merry Christmas to those who had the chance to celebrate. I need to reach out to Matthew Warnick, and tell him Happy Hanukkah because I'm totally sad.
Miss him.
Yeah, no, he's a good dude. I went to his son's bar mitzvah. He invited me out to that.
I used to always steal his stacks from his drawer. I can as a lobby ambassador.
As for the show, you can always find us on Instagram. Where else are we? We're also on Facebook. BTTC Podcast, as well as Back to the Classics, a movie talk group, also a movie talk page. We also have Spoiling the Classics, in case you're curious. We are still doing the Grow This Group Challenge, where I will be giving out a $25 gift card. Amazon gift card or gift card of your choice if you really want me to branch off there. For the person who has the most accepted invites into the group. Wherever you decide to listen or follow us, we greatly appreciate you. We definitely wish you a safe and happy holidays and safe and Merry Christmas. We will be back next week on what will be my Saints Day. What the fuck? We're doing this on my Saints Day? That is so awesome. And yeah, you can always find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at David Neff. I'm the co-host here at Back to the Classics. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you guys next week. I'm your guy, Dane Neff. With me,
really quick. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. Thank you, Dave, again for having me on this show.
Of course.
It's been really fun. This is what, my fourth one now.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting the hang of it now. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Thanks, Duval. Everybody at Back to the Classics and Beat Network. Thank you guys so much for this amazing opportunity. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody.
Well, I thank you, Selina. This is Back to the Classics. We'll see you guys next week. And that's all I got for you. Peace out.
Bye.